What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. We are back. This is my third time live today. Y'all done got a full day out of me, honey. But we are back to talk about Love and Marriage Detroit, Season 1, Episode 3. I really feel like this show been on longer than 3 weeks, child. But let's go ahead and get into it. Hey, people, y'all know that the notifications probably aren't going out, but we're going to go ahead. Hey, Corey, what's up? Natalie, hey, Lily, Kevin, Lady D, what's up? We're going to go ahead and jump in, and the people will catch the replay or what have you. YouTube may or may not send out the notifications, y'all, so we're going to make it do what it do. Kevin said, if the worst men on any reality TV show was a thing, Love and Marriage Detroit. Dang, wow. I don't know if they the worst. I still think Huntsville got them beat. Sorry. I still think Huntsville got them beat. But they definitely... Excuse me. They definitely make the list. Hey, everybody. Tracy, Jonathan, Miss Bynum, Danny. So we picked this episode up where we left off. I had some thoughts. We're going to go through it. We are still at the wine event. And somehow Anthony is no longer arguing with, what's her name? Chelsea from last week. That conversation is over. And now we are back on the whole him going to the club. Anthony and Bravo were trying to convince Christina, hey, Dr. Sophie, what's up? Huntsville took years to get this bad. Well, I guess that's the point. Hey, Lovely 31. Kevin. Kevin said, help me understand why Christina was walking on the outside of the sidewalk while Brandon walked on the inside. Etiquette. See, that's what I'm talking about. Y'all want to be treated like the man of the house, but you ain't acting like the man of the house. You better pull it, Kevin. Now, here's the issue that I'm having. I understood where Christina was coming from. Christina was like, she felt like she was being attacked. She felt like it was 3 against 1, that all of the men were kind of coming down on her, trying to convince her that basically you're being paranoid. Why are you tripping? He has to be in the club to do his job. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Christina was like, first of all, stop making these people think that I'm insecure. Stop making these people feel like, I'm just some insecure wife and I'm worried about my husband being out in the streets. There's a reason why I feel the way I feel. Now, let me say this. Let me put a pin in that real quick. That is why, 2 things I'm going to say right here. That is why, number one, whatever happened between Brandon and Christina, it was deeper than an emotional affair, okay? It was a physical affair, and ain't nobody going to tell me different. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. Ain't nobody going to tell me different. I'm not saying that a woman won't act this way over a emotional affair, but Christina is scorned. I also think that part of Christina's issue isn't just about the affair. I do think that she is insecure, but he made her, well, I don't have enough information to say he made her that way, but that was her argument. Her argument was, I'm insecure now because of the insecurities you put in me. Like she said in the argument, I wasn't an insecure woman when you met me. I wasn't this woman. But let me say this. The flip side of that is this. Christina, now listen, baby, I don't know you, and you may not ever even see my review, but let me tell you what I know. The line of work that your man is in requires him to be in the streets. It just is what it is. He's in the music industry. He has to go to clubs. He has to be in the studio. The hours are not 9 to 5. So either y'all need to figure out a way for you to work through this, or y'all do need to, or he needs to find a look. Y'all got 3 options. You work through it, he finds a new job, or y'all separate. Because this is a part of what he does. That's just, those are just the facts. So, is it Laura? is it Dr. Laura? She's over it. She is embarrassed and she is over this whole argument. Somewhere, and y'all know that this, we saw 5 minutes, but y'all know this probably went on for an hour, right? Somewhere in this argument, Anthony realizes, whoa, wait a minute, this is deep. This is deeper than, oh, she's just jealous. Oh, she's just worried about him, watching dancing with another woman. And Anthony even tries to flip it and say, wait a minute, Brandon, chill. Brandon, stop. Brandon, stop. And he even tells him there's a better way of handling this, because the argument begins to escalate. Christina is crying. She's upset, and she even threw out the ultimate, I can find another man, it's men that I ain't gonna never have a problem getting another man. Now listen, women and men, you don't throw that threat out lightly. You don't make that statement lightly. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the doctor is already over this whole show. I feel like she is embarrassed. And later on in the evening, we see her talking to Anthony, and she told Anthony, listen, we're not going to keep doing this. First, it was the anniversary dinner. Then it was my event. We're not going to keep coming together in chaos. I'm not going to keep doing this. I said, oh, she over this show already. We only on episode 3. I don't know how much filming they had done, but baby, we only on episode 3. And she is over it. She is over it. Now, Christina and Brandon are walking home to their penthouse that they renting for the show. Let me say this. Latoya, thank you. I knew it was an L. Thank you, Kevin. And y'all know I will make up a name in a minute. Let me say this, y'all. Either Christina and Brandon's chemistry is off, like they're not even convincing as a married couple, or they're fraudulent. I say that every week because their scenes never come off authentic to me. When I see Anthony and his wife together, their conversations come off authentic to me. When I see Kobe and Russell together, their conversations seem authentic to me. I may not like what they're saying to each other, but the conversations come off authentic. Christina and Brandon, from the first episode, none of their one-on-one conversations ever come off authentic to me. And it was the same thing with them walking down the street on their way home, arguing about the same shit, honestly. And then Brandon was like, I'm just saying, so do you even want to be married anymore? And Christina was like, what? What are you talking about? What? She said, of course I want to be married. Why? Tell me why. She was like, what? Tell you why what? Why? Why? She was like, why? Why do I want to be married to my husband? Because I love you, because I vowed to be with you. I don't know, man. I just ain't trying to do this no more. I'm going for a walk. So she goes up in the penthouse by herself. He goes off for a walk. And we find out later on in the episode, he claimed he ain't been back home, that he's staying at the other crib, their real house, the house that they didn't want to film in. He at the house while she at the penthouse, and allegedly he ain't talked to her, talking about he been on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, Kevin, their conversations just do not come off authentic. You have to be mindful of what you say during an argument with your spouse, because you can say something that changes the dynamic. That's what I'm saying. When you start throwing out, it's plenty of men that want me, it's plenty of women that want me, like you throwing out stuff. You might be, yeah. So Then we have this Kobe Russell situation. Let me tell y'all once again. Now, one thing I will say, there's a lot of God and spirituality in this show. A lot of these couples have foundations in their faith, and it does show they speak on God a lot. They're unapologetic about speaking on God. They're unapologetic and very proud that God has a part in their life. So I can respect that, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Kobe has a brunch for her parents. She invited her mom and daddy over so she can talk to them about her frustrations with this whole Russell situation. Now, Abby and Jonathan, y'all gonna have to help me with this one because I know my faith isn't different. What's the word I'm looking for? My understanding of God's calling on your life is different. That's the way I want to say that. And I know that Jonathan has had a calling on his life, and Abby has had a calling on her life. Some other people in the chat, but I know personally that those two people have. So I have I don't quite understand it the same way that people, because God ain't called me to do nothing. So I don't mean it like that, but y'all know what I'm saying. God ain't called me to serve him in the church, like as a pastor or deacon kind of thing. That's what I mean by that. So I don't understand why. So we got to meet Kobe's mom and dad. Cute couple. Dad looked good. He looked young. Mama looked cute. Had that slick back going on. And she's talking to them. And her frustration is basically that her husband went to her daddy first to discuss something that is potentially earth-shattering changing for their family without the benefit of the conversation to her. And her mama was the first one to be like, well, when God calls you, that's between God and him. That ain't you. I mean, God is the priority in that. And I understand that. But didn't God also put certain, like, you ain't supposed to talk to your wife though? And I'm not even saying that to be funny. Y'all really don't get that. I didn't get that whole justification for why it was okay. If he didn't tell nobody, then I might even go along with that argument and be like, well, God called them. He ain't had time to stop. God said do it, and he did it. Okay, cool. All right. But he had time to go talk to her daddy. And I understand that her daddy is a pastor, so he was getting counsel. But again, if your argument is when God calls, you go and you ain't got time to look left or right. But she had time to look left. I mean, he had time to look left and go talk to somebody because he went to go talk to somebody that he knew was going to help him talk to her. That's what that was about. Because you can't have it both ways. You can't say to me, oh, well, God calls, you don't have time to go left and right. You just got to go where God tells you to go. I'm going to give you that. And I'm going to respect that. But God ain't tell you to detour down to my daddy house, but not detour down to your marital bed. God ain't never called me to do that. So I ain't even married. So I definitely don't. But I don't understand. I didn't understand that. And it didn't matter how many different ways. I didn't understand that. Now that's just me. If I sensed my wife was going to be negative or have past negative experiences, it would take me time to tell her about my calling. Okay, I can understand you trying to find a right way to do it. I can understand you trying to find a right way to do it. Nah, mama, they won, and God called them as his helpmate and revealer. God sure going to say something to her too. There you go. Okay. PK children are the worst. But the other thing I'm going to say, and I understand, because ultimately what it boiled down to was he didn't tell you because he didn't think you were going to be supportive. So then again, that's not about what God said. That's you. You didn't say, well, I didn't tell you because God said that he was going to work on you. And I'm not being funny, y'all. I'm really not being funny. I'm honestly telling y'all how I feel. I don't want nobody to think I'm playing with God, because I'm not. But you did not tell me because you were going, do not pass go, do not collect $200. God said go, and I ain't gonna stop. You didn't tell me because ultimately what you admitted and what your father admitted was, well, he ain't come to you because he didn't think he was gonna get the support from you. And that's why he didn't do it. Not because, well, when God calls you, you don't stop. Unless they're not evenly yoked. Now, see, now, here we're going to go back to that. Now, later on in the episode, they go out for, a date day. They out at the gym, and they're talking about it. Now, this is what I'm going to say. From what I can tell, Kobe has been very clear with Russell. Russell don't even know he's going to be a chaplain or a pastor or a deacon, because we done heard all three. From last episode to this episode, it was deacon, chaplain, pastor. First of all, and again, y'all, I'm not being funny. I just don't understand it because God ain't never had that conversation with me. So which one is it? Because there's a big difference between deacon, chaplain, pastor. Big difference. But I feel like from what we have heard between last week's episode and this episode, Kobe has been very clear with her father, her mama, and her man that she has no desire, she doesn't feel like she has it in her to be a first lady. She's been very clear about that. And it doesn't sound like that has changed. So God, at least in her mind, because I can't say what God has or hasn't done, but if God has sent the message, it ain't got through to her yet, because she is very clear that this is not what she wants. She's very intentional and very clear. She's been clear with her husband. She's been clear with her daddy. She's been clear with her mama. That being a first lady, she ain't about that life. And that's how I feel, Jonathan. And again, I ain't never gonna be one to tell somebody that they need to break up or they need to get. I ain't never gonna tell somebody. I mean, unless it's an abusive situation, I ain't never gonna tell somebody to leave a man. But that's what it sounds like. It sounds like y'all are no longer on the same page. And again, God put that calling on you. Y'all, listen, answer the call by all means. But she may not be the one for you. Because she's been very clear that she ain't about that life. Very clear that she ain't about that life. And the fact that you had already started taking classes before you even found time to tell me, see, I'm not cool with that. Jonathan, what is going on with you? You don't know that woman. How you gonna call her trifling? No, she has certain experiences that she saw growing up as a child of a pastor, and she watched her mother. See, what it is and what it sounds like is that she watched her mother do some things that she's not willing to do. And I don't think that makes her trifling. I think that makes her, this is what she knows that she has the bandwidth. I think that's very honest of her to say, I can't do what I grew up seeing my mother do. I don't want that for me and my life and my children. I don't want that. And I don't think that's trifling. And I don't think she's wrong. I'm sorry. Now, Why does she need to go get counseling? See, I don't understand that. Jonathan said, well, she need to go get counseling. Why? Why does she need to go get counseling? Because she doesn't want to be a first lady? I don't think that makes her wrong, because it sounds like she has been very clear with Russell when they were dating. All of that. It sounds like she's been very clear with Russell about what it is that she wants and does not want. That's like saying, what are you saying? Okay, take the passion out of it. Say he had another vision. Okay, give me the vision. But was he called? Because Russell just don't seem like a man of God. We don't know that. I don't know nothing about it. Russell needs to go to counseling because it looks like he doesn't know what he wants yet. Maybe she saw her father do ain't-ish stuff and watched her mother grin and bear it. And she said, I'm not going to be the one. Yeah, last week she gave us an example. She talked about the fact that the phone would ring in the middle of the night and her father would hop up and have to go to the hospitals. I have to go, to people's houses and had to do these things. And it took away from the family and she resented it. She told some of her story. And again, I don't know. I didn't grow up like she grew up. I don't know what her experience is. But I think she's being honest in what she is willing to do. Russell needs to go to counseling because it looks like he doesn't know what he wants. Well, he sounds like his calling was a combination of power and attention. I don't know his walk, but I got eyes and life experience. Yeah, I just feel like, why are we punishing her for her being honest about what she's willing to do? Now, she could wake up tomorrow and God could put a whole different calling on her and she is gung-ho and she's there. But she's saying, in this space right now, I told you before we got married that I grew up a PK. I didn't want my children to be PKs. I have no desire to be a first lady. She was clear. She didn't change. Everybody around her changed. She didn't change. Is she going to be supportive? You don't know where life is going to lead your spouse. So let's say she has a vision to be a police officer. Would she be supportive then? I think this is what I think. And this is how I feel about it. I think if a person tells you what they can and cannot do, I think that is what dating is about. And I think dating is about being honest and transparent. If she grew up with a father who was a police officer and she constantly lived in fear of him being killed in the line of duty, of him working long nights, of him going into dangerous situations, and she told a man that she was dating that she could not date a man in law enforcement because of her life experiences, that she ain't about that life and she ain't cut out for that, then yes, I think it's the same thing. That's my opinion. But the Lord called Russell, not her. You already said, Jonathan, then they're not evenly yoked. I'm just agreeing with you. But I'm going to be honest, I took offense that you were like, she just a trifling PK. Why does that make her trifling? I don't agree with that making. I don't agree that made her trifling. I wouldn't want to date a man who's in politics. As a spouse, I have to keep my arms in the car at all times, even when I don't know they're out. Exactly. I think that's just I think that's all a part of the process. And it sounds like that they did. I feel like they were both very spiritual, which is the reason why they probably had these conversations to begin with about her being a first lady and living that life. That's how I feel. That's why she went to her dad, so he can have more people to force her hand and make her change her mind. Exactly. That's exactly why she went to her dad. That's exactly why she went to her dad. Listen, the Lord called you. He did not call me. And maybe that means we ain't supposed to be together no more. And it's going to hurt. And I love you. And we got this beautiful baby together. But God ain't clear. I can't say God didn't talk to her. But she don't feel like God talked to her. Let me say that. She don't feel like God talked to her. And like I said, tomorrow she might wake up and have a whole different vision. I agree with you on that, really be. It's okay to say what you're not for. Yeah, I don't think that there's any different. Again, I just think that that's just what you say. So no matter how you slice it, he still should have had a conversation with his wife. But I agree, especially before he actually started taking classes. I mean, I'm sorry. So what have you been? So let me ask you this, Jonathan. For the last couple of weeks, this man has been leaving his house. He has been attending classes. I don't know whether he lied to his wife about where he was or he just didn't volunteer the information to his wife. Is that of God? That he's hiding stuff from his wife? Is that part of his calling? What I'm saying about PKs, I'm one myself, but most PKs out there do not want to be involved with nothing church related because of their experience. But she can't get mad at the man. She's not mad. She's not mad at him. She always said that if God called him, then she has a problem with how he handled it. And she told him she's not interested and she can't be a first lady. She told him that. And it doesn't sound like that's the first time she heard it. Russell said God gave him a calling, that's fine, but Russell seems like he doesn't know what the true calling is, wife, to let them know that she's not the first lady material. He needs to think about that. My mom was a singer. Everyone knew. I have certain childhood experiences that have stopped me from dating preachers or men who have a calling. Natalie, did you mean to say your mom was you said a singer? You mean like in a choir? As I stated, I wouldn't have told her until I felt comfortable because of her negative attitude towards it. Then I got a problem with that. Again, I can't tell nobody how to run their household, but I got a problem with that. But anyway, that's that. The final word was a gospel singer. Thank you, baby. Thank you. The final word was Kobe said, listen, I can deal with being a chaplain. I ain't made to be no preacher's wife. I'm telling you now. So if that's the direction we're going, maybe we got a problem. And I just think that that's fair. You can't be mad at that woman for being honest. Now, again, we all reserve the right to change our mind. We all reserve the right to change our mind. But this is where she is right now, and she's being very honest about that. Moving on, because we could do this all night, Chad. So then we have Anthony down to his studio. So it seems like Anthony has his own studio. 213 Studios, right? So now I thought they said the man worked for Live Nation. And does he do both? And he can very well do both. Work for Live Nation and have his studio. But neither here nor there, child. He got his own studio. And this is the scene where we see him call Brandon. And when Brandon lets him know that he ain't been home and he ain't talked to his wife since they had the argument at the wine party. Now, I don't know how many days it's been, but it seemed like it's been a couple of days because of Anthony's response. Anthony was like, you ain't talked to your wife at all? Like, his whole response was like, what? I agree, Marsha. If I agree. Ultimately, my final word on this for this week is if God called Russell and Kobe's supposed to be with Russell, God will do what he need to do with Kobe. That's just how I feel about it. That's just how I feel about it. As a husband or a wife, you must be supportive of the path that God leads someone. So I say if she doesn't change, it is unequally yoked relationship. All right, Jonathan, we're just gonna move on because we could do this all night, child. We just gonna move on. Anyway, so Anthony told his friend, if you don't get your ass back home and work this out with your wife, I know you better. That's basically what Anthony said. Anthony said, listen, bro, I remember when you was depressed. I remember how happy when Christina came into your life. I remember how happy she made you. Listen, you need to go fix it. Now, in that moment, Anthony was being a good friend because Anthony told him to go fix it. You go fix it. Okay? You said Anthony seemed like he got a little crush on Man Bun. Yeah, they definitely got a bromance. He said that's his brother. He said I talked to him on Instagram last week, and he said that they're friends in real life. He said they really are friends in real life, and so they do already have that bond there as friends. And it does sound like they've been friends for a long time, because if he knew Brandon before he even got married, then, and they've been married for 11 years, 7 years, how long they've been married? So they've known each other for a while. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Anthony told him to take his ass home. Now let's get into this Anthony, Dr. Laura, Atlanta situation. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second, child. Hold on. So I remember I told y'all last week that I needed more information on this Atlanta situation. So after spending probably 40 to 50% of this episode on this Atlanta situation, I don't care no more. Because the story keeps changing and it don't make no damn sense to me. So first of all, let's just start. We see Anthony and his wife on a date night. Then we see Anthony and his wife with another couple going out on the yacht. And so the reason, out on the boat, right? So the reason why I said I'm giving y'all both seasons, because I'm going to probably overlap, because the conversation, they brought up this Atlanta thing 2 or 3 times this episode. So let me say this to y'all. The reason why I say this conversation keeps changing is because at first we were told Anthony left, he ain't tell nobody. He just basically made a decision that he was going to go. Then we found out, he did ask if it was okay. But then when it became, I guess, too long or whatever, then wifey wasn't cool with it. Then we found out that he was in Atlanta. He was flying back and forth, but he had rented a whole house down to the Atlanta. Now we find out, I thought he was just working for Live Nation. But now we find out he's got his own studio, and this was an opportunity to grow the studio and make connections with Disney and Marvel and all these different entities so that he could expand the studio back in Detroit. Then we first found out all of this was happening during the Panorama, and the kids were being homeschooled while she was at work working however many crazy hours because she was a first responder and the schools were closed and she was struggling as a single mom. Now we find out they were in school because they were dealing with racism and the kids calling them names because they probably got them at some old rich ass private school out in suburbia, which there ain't nothing wrong with it, but understand that, everything comes with shit, okay? I really need to understand some things before I make up my mind about how I feel about this situation. Like, number one, I really need to understand the conversation that Anthony had with his wife before he left. Because then later on, Anthony was like, well, she said, well, you told me, but you didn't give me all the information. And he was like, well, it shouldn't matter. The fuck you mean it shouldn't matter? You're literally leaving me here by myself with 2 children. It absolutely matters. Then Anthony tried to throw in the Great Migration. Well, your family wouldn't even be here if the man of the family didn't take control and move his family south to try to help improve his family. Sir. First of all, you don't know that her granddaddy didn't have a conversation with the grandmama about the situation. That's number one. Okay? Number 2, what we not going to do, we not going to compare 1930s America and black folk trying to get out the South and migrating to the major cities for a better opportunity for their family because they were sharecroppers and dealing with serious Jim Crow to move up north to work in the factories where they could make more money and take care of their family and build the middle class. We're not going to compare that to you wanting to go down to Atlanta to expand your studio. I'm not saying it's not important, but we're not going to compare the two like it's the same thing. That's what I just said, John Xavier. I said from the South to the North to Detroit. Right, that's what I'm saying, y'all. Maybe I didn't say that right. I'm talking about the Great Migration. He said in his confessional, he talked about the fact that if it weren't for Dr. Laura's grandfather bringing the family north, and that he made a decision for the family to improve the family. What I'm saying is we're not going to compare the Great Migration to what you was trying to do. We're not going to compare the two. I don't know if I didn't say it right because it seemed like a couple of y'all didn't understand what I was saying. I'm not calling what Anthony's doing the Great Migration. I'm talking about he was describing the Great Migration. And we're not going to compare the two. Now, I need to know what that exact conversation you had, Anthony, before you got your happy ass on that plane, flew down to Atlanta, rented a house, and decided to take up shop, number one. Number two, I need to know how long this went on. How long were you in Atlanta? Was it 6 months? Was it 3 months? Was it 8 months? Was it a year? I need to know. Number three, how often were you flying home while you was down in Atlanta renting a whole house? First of all, why you renting a house, sir? You couldn't just go get an apartment. Did you really need to rent a house? But neither here nor there. Yeah, no, he was comparing the decision making. Yeah. So there are a lot of elements to this story that I don't understand. But what I did understand by the end of this episode is that Anthony felt like nobody supported him. He felt like he was doing what was right for his family to build, the generational wealth and do what he felt like he needed to do for the family. And he didn't feel supported. And it sounds like she got her daddy involved. Now she sounds like another PK because they said her daddy was a bishop. Who is her daddy? I need to go Google her daddy. He said that lost my train of thought, child. But he said that the daddy, the sister, the mama, all was kind of coming on him, making him feel like he was a deadbeat dad, blah, blah, blah. But sir, if you were living in not only a whole nother state, you was living halfway across the country. Let's be clear. You was living halfway across the country during a global pandemic while she was trying to take care of 2 kids. I need some information before I know whose side I'm on. I can't get with these people on this show. Only person I like so far is Russell. That's why you was caping so hard. See, now it makes sense, Jonathan. That's why you was caping so hard, because you like Russell. I just wonder, did I act like this in my 30s and 40s? They just weird with weird issues. You acting like that now in your 50s, Jonathan. You just had a whole argument with me. You are acting like that now. Don't do my husband. Your husband been giving me a hard time this whole time, Evie. Anthony still want to get his ass back to Atlanta. And that's what it really boils down to me. Anthony wants to Watusi his ass back on down to Atlanta. That's it. That's all. Now you could dress it up. You can put a dress on a fish. It's still a fish. He want to go back to Atlanta. You were arguing with me, Jonathan. But, you know, and again, Dr. Laura said she ain't leaving Detroit. She said that, I think, when they was on the boat. She said, well, I ain't going nowhere. This is home. So, again, I say, y'all as a couple have some conversations, some hard decisions to make. Because ultimately, if you're saying, he's saying, in order for me to take my business to the next level, this is what I need to do. And she's saying, I'm not okay with that. Now, y'all need, again, hard conversations need to be had. Hard conversations need to be had. I feel like all three of these couples are at a crossroads. And I'm not telling them to break up because that ain't my place to tell nobody to do that. But all three of these couples are at a crossroad. Now, Anthony said he felt like if the situation were reversed, he would do whatever he had to do to hold it down for her, to expand her dreams and make her dreams happen. I can't tell him he wouldn't because I don't know that man. But what I can say is, I don't think she would ask you to. And I think that's the difference. Detroit's a major city, but Detroit doesn't have like the studio connections. I mean, to be fair, in his line of work and what he's trying to do, and if he was already making connections in Atlanta and he had, it's not a far-fetched thing, but again, it's the same conversation we just had with, the only difference is we're not saying God is putting his calling on his life, but it's the same conversation. If he's saying this is where I want to go, this is my desire, this is the business that I'm trying to build up, and I need to go through Atlanta to do it, it's the same conversation. The only difference is this isn't something that they had a conversation about before they got married. This has evolved during the relationship. I don't want you to be the therapist for these couples, Jonathan. Just because he would do something doesn't mean reciprocity is required. Do things from your heart, not as some sort of IOU. This franchise will and can possibly discourage anyone to not get married. I'm just saying, child, you ain't lying. Because, baby, if this is what it is, I mean, don't get me wrong. Marriage is hard. I mean, let's be real. Marriage is not easy. Marriage is hard. But like I told y'all last week, I just think that Carlos King finds the most toxic relationships that he could find in any major city. Like, that's just like when he did his interview with Buffy. I was listening to it the other day. Not Buffy. Buffy from Basketball Wives. You know, she's in Houston. She's or Dallas. Either Dallas or Houston. And she was telling Carlos, because she's fired from Basketball Wives, and she was telling Carlos, yeah, you should bring a love and marriage franchise here, and me and my man could be, one of your couples, blah blah blah. And he talking about we could talk offline. Child. So don't be surprised if you see a love and marriage Dallas or Houston, wherever I can't remember if it's Dallas or Houston. But don't be surprised if you see a love and marriage Texas sometime soon, child. Christina is insecure. A man bun made it worse. Russell is manipulative. Anthony wants the spotlight, and his man on. Y'all gonna stop. Y'all gonna stop with Anthony. Y'all gonna stop with Anthony. I didn't even watch Huntsville. I didn't watch last week's episode of Huntsville. So, no harm to any of them. The Carlos could have found more interesting couples in these three. In the whole city of Detroit, I'm sure he could have. In the whole city of Detroit. Excuse me, y'all. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. But that was tonight's episode, child. I mean, this is a new franchise. It's a new city. So they probably only have 7 to 10 episodes. So we on episode 3, child. I guess we're going to see what the next 4 episodes bring us, child. I have not watched it, Mickey. I saw the advertisement, but I haven't watched it. Average Joe with Dion Cole. I've seen the the advertisement. But baby, that's it. I couldn't even give y'all an hour. That's all I got. I done fussed with me and Jonathan, been fussing. Y'all got Anthony down to the Bulldogs in Atlanta. Y'all got Man Bun. Listen, y'all got a lot in this chat tonight. Oh, child. Do you need to go back and watch the previous episodes? Jonathan, you ain't even watched the previous episodes in here fussing with me. I mean, you can. I mean, I think you pretty much got the gist of what they've been talking about, but you can go back. It's really good. Okay. I have to put it on my to-do list. Oh, Lord, I'm yawning. Y'all, I did not sleep good last night. I tossed and turned most of the night. I ain't fall asleep till like 5 a.m. I took me a little nap this afternoon, but I'm yawning, so hopefully that means I'm gonna sleep good tonight, child, because baby, I could not sleep last night. Last night was not a good night. How this gonna be your first episode? You that came in here, Jonathan, I ain't doing this with you. Abby said take her to the Caribbean for your 50th birthday. Now, I don't know how you got to take her to the Caribbean for your 50th birthday, but that ain't my business. That's between you and your wife, okay? Child, they ain't doing no damn reunion. This just feels like these couples are not having the conversations they need to have. The women are more dominating, where Huntsville, the men are the dominating force. We need a show for singles and free groups. I'm sorry, y'all. Woo, I need to go to bed. All right. In friend groups, I'm tired of these toxic couples. I feel like every time they try to do like a single show, it just fails. I think they feel like they need a man. I don't know. Oh, thank you. I love it. Your commentary makes it worthwhile for me. Thank you, Miss Bynum. I've been trying to get you a wifey blessing for about 2 years. Now, don't do that. Okay. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you. Pamela said, hit that like button on your way out the door. This was a great live. Yes, because I'm getting ready to hit the button. Because, baby, I don't know. All of a sudden, I just started. I'm still yawning. Excuse me. Like I said, I did not sleep well last night, so maybe it's coming down on me. Hopefully, I sleep good tonight, honey. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. If you did that, yes, please hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And I will see y'all later. Mwah. Peace.